Have you ever noticed that the calmest people often make others the most uncomfortable? In a world addicted to noise where everyone's shouting to prove their worth, the one who stays composed instantly shifts the balance of power. Because calmness, when mastered, is not passivity. It's dominance without display. Today, you'll discover 7 Stoic lessons that will teach you how to stay so calm that it unsettles everyone around you. The kind of calm that commands rooms, ends arguments, and draws people in without a single word. And stay with me until the end, because I'll reveal one ancient practice used by samurai, philosophers, and modern leaders alike. A practice so deceptively simple that it can reset your nervous system and make you unshakable in less than 60 seconds. Are you ready to learn how quiet becomes your greatest power? Every day, we live in an age that worships speed, outrage, and reaction. The louder you speak, the more attention you gain. The faster you respond, the smarter people assume you are. But behind this illusion of strength lies exhaustion, an epidemic of anxiety disguised as ambition. We scroll, reply, argue, defend, all in the name of being engaged. Yet, the more reactive we become, the less power we truly hold. The world doesn't reward calm anymore. It mistakes calmness for weakness, but the Stoics saw the opposite. To them, calmness was not indifference. It was command. Stoicism teaches that a person who can rule their emotions rules their reality. That principle, once practiced by emperors like Marcus Aurelius and warriors like Epictetus, is now more relevant than ever. Because our modern battlefield isn't fought with swords. It's fought with attention. In this video, you will learn 7 lessons that will rebuild your inner foundation. How to activate the confidence circuit. Creating composure from the inside out. The body language of authority. How posture shapes presence. The breath weapon. The simplest way to reset your entire state. The nervous-making presence. How calm unsettles chaos. The Stoic secret. The rule that ends unnecessary suffering. The emotional Aikido. How to redirect anger and anxiety. And finally, strategic silence. The ultimate Stoic weapon in a world drowning in noise. By the end, you'll not only understand calmness, you'll embody it. And those around you will feel it too. We've been taught to believe that confidence is something you either have or you don't. A mysterious gift reserved for the lucky few. You see people who walk into a room and instantly command respect, and you wonder, what's their secret? Maybe you assume it's their looks, their success, or their charisma. But the truth is far simpler and far more empowering. Confidence is not a personality trait. It's a discipline, a practice, and like any practice, it's built through repetition. Through conscious, daily choices that rewire how you see yourself. The Stoics knew this long before psychology gave it language. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." True confidence, then, begins where freedom begins, with self-command. It's not the loudest voice in the room or the one that moves the most aggressively. It's the calm presence that doesn't need validation to exist. The person who can stand in silence and still feel complete. That's real power. Modern neuroscience now confirms what the Stoics practiced centuries ago. The mind doesn't distinguish between real confidence and the confidence you train. When you hold yourself tall, breathe steadily, and speak with intention, your brain fires the same pathways as someone who's already fearless. You're not pretending, you're programming. Confidence is not found, it's formed. And every moment you choose calm over chaos, focus over fear, you strengthen the circuit that defines who you're becoming. Imagine starting each morning not by checking your phone, but by standing in front of a mirror, silent, grounded, and unflinching. You look yourself directly in the eyes, not with vanity, but with intent. 30 seconds. That's all it takes. Most people will find it painfully uncomfortable. 10 seconds might even feel like an eternity. But those 30 seconds, repeated with purpose, can rewire your nervous system. Why? Because you're teaching your body that eye contact isn't a threat. It's a signal of safety and self-acceptance. You're telling your mind, I can face myself. I can stand my ground. With each repetition, you're dismantling the circuitry of self-doubt and building a new baseline of quiet strength. Eleanor Roosevelt understood this better than anyone. Born shy and insecure, she used deliberate exposure to discomfort to shape herself into one of history's most composed figures. She forced herself to speak in public, to lead when criticized, to stay steady under pressure. Over time, she transformed her fear into fuel. Her calm became legendary, not because she lacked nerves, but because she trained them. As she once said, you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's the art of standing still while others rush to prove themselves. And when practiced daily, even for moments, it becomes an inner current that steadies everything you do. Each time you practice this calm self-assurance, something subtle begins to shift. Your posture grows grounded, your voice becomes steady, and your thoughts start to align with clarity instead of doubt. People around you notice it, even if they can't explain why your presence feels different. You're no longer reacting, you're radiating. This is the invisible advantage of the Stoic mindset. While most people burn energy trying to project strength, you build it quietly from within. You stop performing confidence and start embodying it. The more you master yourself, the less you depend on anyone else's approval. And paradoxically, that's when others start to respect you the most. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally governed. You can feel fear, but you no longer obey it. You can face uncertainty without flinching, because you trust the muscle memory of your own mind. Every morning that you choose to stand tall, to breathe deeply, to hold your gaze, you're not just starting your day. You're training your nervous system to serve you instead of sabotage you. Over time, this quiet repetition becomes transformation. Your calm becomes contagious. Your silence commands rooms. And those who once underestimated you will find themselves unsettled, not by what you say, but by what you no longer need to prove. This is the first layer of true power, the confidence circuit. You don't chase confidence, you build it, one conscious moment at a time. Before you say a single word, your body has already spoken for you. The way you stand, breathe, or simply enter a room silently declares who you believe yourself to be. Most people don't realize it, but authority isn't something you announce. It's something you radiate. We've been conditioned to obsess over what to say, how to defend our point, or how to sound confident. Yet we neglect the silent dialogue happening between posture and perception. The truth is, long before your words are heard, your stance has already told the world whether you are calm or chaotic, grounded or grasping for a validation. Observe yourself for a moment. Are your shoulders slouched or steady? Is your chin raised in tension or lowered in quiet focus? Are your hands restless or at ease? Every small gesture becomes a signal, and the people around you, consciously or not, are constantly reading that signal. When your body is unsettled, others sense it instantly. You might be saying all the right words, but your presence betrays your uncertainty. You broadcast weakness without realizing it. The Stoics understood that true presence doesn't come from control over others. It comes from control over oneself. As Seneca wrote, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Your body mirrors that imagination. Every nervous shift, every shallow breath is a story your mind is telling, a story that can be rewritten. And the first step to rewriting it is awareness. Now that you're aware, the transformation begins with the simplest act, standing still. Not rigid, not tense, just grounded. Feel the weight of your feet anchoring you to the earth. Roll your shoulders gently back. Open your chest as if saying to the world, I am here, and I am enough. Then lower your chin ever so slightly, about 10 degrees, a gesture evolution encoded as calm dominance. The apex predators of nature don't fidget. They conserve energy. They move only when necessary. The lion doesn't roar to prove he's king. His stillness reminds others he is. Modern science validates this ancient instinct. In 2010, psychologist Amy Cuddy's famous power pose study revealed that simply standing tall for 2 minutes raises testosterone by 20% and lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, by 25%. Your body chemistry literally shifts to match your posture. You're not acting confident. You're chemically engineering it. Fred Rogers, the gentle television host who shaped generations, embodied this art of calm authority. He never rushed, never filled silence with noise. Every movement he made, even tying his shoes, was deliberate and unhurried. He didn't demand attention, he invited it. Through stillness, he became magnetic. When your gestures slow, your breathing deepens and your movements become intentional. People naturally mirror your pace. The room recalibrates round your calm. This is not arrogance. It's alignment. Your outer posture begins to reflect your inner composure, and the two reinforce each other like a self-sustaining loop. In mastering your body, you're not performing strength. You're revealing it. And when that happens, the world listens long before you ever speak. When you embody calm authority, something remarkable happens. The environment adjusts to you. Conversations grow quieter when you speak. People pause before interrupting. Even conflict begins to lose its edge. This isn't magic. It's biology. Humans are wired to synchronize with the emotional rhythm of those around them, a phenomenon scientists call entrainment. When your body radiates steadiness, others instinctively match the tempo. They feel safer, more grounded, even if they can't explain why. The Stoics believed this kind of influence was the essence of leadership. Not control through dominance, but guidance through presence. Marcus Aurelius didn't command loyalty because he shouted the loudest. He commanded it because his composure was unbreakable. He was the still point in the chaos of empire. The same principle applies to modern life. Whether you're leading a meeting, parenting a child, or navigating conflict, your body becomes the first message you ever send. I am calm. I am not reactive. I am in command of myself. But this mastery isn't a one-time performance. It's a lifelong practice, a conversation between body and mind that deepens every day. So, the next time tension fills the air, resist the urge to move faster or speak louder. Pause, breathe, let stillness do the talking, because the world doesn't need more noise, it needs more people who can stand still and make silence feel like authority. Imagine walking into chaos, a heated argument, a high-pressure meeting, a moment when tempers flare and the air feels electric. Everyone's voices rise, hearts race, the tension thickens like smoke. And yet, amid the noise, one person remains calm, shoulders relaxed, gaze steady, breathing slow and deliberate. Within seconds, the energy in the room begins to shift. That's not coincidence. That's control. Most people never learn how to breathe. It sounds absurd. Breathing is the first thing we ever do, yet we spend our lives doing it wrong. Our modern world trains us to inhale fast, shallow, and high in the chest. Every ping, every deadline, every tiny jolt of stress keeps the nervous system stuck in fight or flight. You wake up tense, you scroll tense, you even sleep tense. The cost. Clarity fades, patience vanishes, calm becomes impossible. The Stoics understood this truth long before modern science gave it a name. To them, control over one's breath was control over one's state. Seneca compared emotion to a storm. Inevitable, yes, but governable. He wrote that the wise person keeps their breath measured, because each breath either feeds panic or restores peace. Today, neuroscientists agree. The breath is the remote control of the mind. When you slow it, you send a message through the vagus nerve, the ancient bridge between brain and body, that says, "I am safe." In that instant, your heartbeat steadies, cortisol drops, and clarity returns. You're no longer reacting from survival. You're responding from strategy. This is the Stoic's invisible weapon. Not aggression, not persuasion, but respiration. Deliberate, controlled, and powerful. The person who controls their breath controls their biology. And the one who controls their biology controls the battlefield of the mind. The technique is so simple that most people dismiss it. Yet it's one of the oldest and most effective tools for regaining control. It's called for 7-8 breathing. Here's how it works. Inhale through your nose for 4 counts. Hold that breath for 7 counts. Then exhale, slowly, completely, for 8. Repeat this rhythm 4 times, and your body begins to change. The heart rate steadies. The shoulders drop. The mind clears. You can almost feel the storm inside you start to break apart. This isn't mystical. It's mechanical. You're literally hacking your nervous system. The vagus nerve, running from your brainstem to your organs, responds instantly to deep, slow breaths. It shifts your physiology out of the fight or flight mode and into the parasympathetic, the mode of rest, recovery, and strategic thought. In that state, blood returns to the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that governs rational decision-making. And that's the secret. You can think clearly when your body believes it's in danger. No Stoic, no philosopher, no warrior can act with wisdom if their biology is betraying them. That's why breathwork was central to ancient disciplines, from the samurai's kokyu to the Stoics' measured respiration. The next time anger rises or panic grips your chest, don't argue with the feeling. Don't try to fight it through willpower. Just breathe 4, 7, 8, and you'll notice the situation may not change, but you do, because peace isn't found outside of you. It's produced by how you breathe through what's outside of you. But there's something deeper hidden within this practice, something the Stoics understood intuitively. Breath is truth. Because how you breathe in a moment of stress is how you live your entire life. If your breath is shallow, your presence is shallow. If your breath is frantic, your thoughts are frantic. Yet if your breath is deliberate, patient, you become untouchable. Most people think composure is about suppressing emotion, but that's a misunderstanding. True calm is not repression, it's redirection. Each breath is a message to your mind. I am not a slave to reaction. You can't control the chaos outside, but you can command the rhythm within. That's why warriors, monks, and philosophers across centuries all began their discipline here. Before strategy, before wisdom, they mastered the inhale. Because when the body obeys calm, the mind follows. And once the mind follows, the world follows. The next time you're overwhelmed, when you feel the weight of deadlines, conflict, or disappointment pressing against your chest, remember this: the shortest distance between panic and peace is a single, conscious breath. You don't need motivation. You don't need perfect conditions. You only need awareness and the courage to pause. Close your eyes. Inhale through your nose. Hold it. Exhale slowly until every bit of tension leaves your shoulders. Do it again. With each cycle, you are building the habit of returning home, to stillness, to sovereignty. That's how a Stoic breathes. Not to escape the moment, but to own it. Not to avoid pressure, but to transform it. Because in a world ruled by reaction, the one who controls their breath becomes something rare. Someone who cannot be manipulated. You don't just survive the storm, you become the calm that ends it. Have you ever walked into a room and felt everyone's energy change without saying a word? It's not superstition, it's the physics of presence. In every interaction, there's an invisible contest. Who sets the emotional temperature? Most people react. They mirror the loudest voice, the sharpest tone, the fastest pulse. But a rare few reverse the current. They walk in calm, unbothered, and the entire room slows down to match them. That is power, quiet, disarming, and deeply unsettling. We live in a world that confuses noise with influence. Social media teaches us that attention equals importance, that the one who speaks the most wins. But true authority has never needed volume. It's the kind of stillness that makes others second-guess their own chaos. When you are calm, people start to wonder why. They project their own anxiety onto your silence, mistaking your steadiness for mystery, or even superiority. Your calmness becomes a mirror that exposes their unrest. That's why unshakable people often make others nervous, because they reveal the emotional turbulence everyone else is trying to hide. But this calm isn't born of arrogance. It's a discipline, a decision to stop being ruled by external storms. The Stoics called it apathy, not indifference, but mastery. The ability to stand unprovoked when everything around you begs for reaction, and in a world addicted to reaction, that restraint feels revolutionary. True calm isn't about isolation. It's about insulation. You don't run from chaos, you become immune to it. The Stoics taught that strength doesn't come from avoiding conflict, but from mastering your inner reactions to it. Most people crumble not because the world is too heavy, but because their inner walls are too thin. Every insult, every delay, every disagreement seeps through and steals their peace. To develop a calm that unsettles others, you must build what Marcus Aurelius called your inner fortress, a state of unbreachable composure. Inside that fortress, no word can humiliate you, no opinion can define you, and no outcome can destroy your balance. You stop being tossed by other people's emotions because you no longer depend on their approval. But understand this, when you begin to embody such steadiness, people will test it. Some will provoke you, hoping to expose weakness. Others will mistake your restraint for weakness and push harder. That's the paradox of calm. It invites challenge before it commands respect. So when you're confronted, don't respond fast, respond deeper. Let your stillness hold the space. Because when someone throws chaos at you and it doesn't move you, it reflects back on them like light of armor. That's when they realize you're not avoiding the fight, you've already won it by refusing to step into their emotional arena. And in that moment, you don't just seem calm, you become unshakable. As your calm deepens, you'll notice something extraordinary. People begin to organize themselves around your energy. They pause before speaking, lower their voices, even soften their posture. Without a word, you've shifted the atmosphere. That is the mark of true presence, influence without effort. Yet, not everyone will welcome it. Some will find your calm threatening because it reminds them how reactive they are. They'll try to drag you back into noise, to make you explain yourself, to prove that you still care. But you no longer owe anyone your emotional compliance. This is what the Stoics meant when they said the wise live according to nature. Your calmness is not a performance, it's alignment with truth. You've stopped fighting the wind and started shaping yourselves. You no longer seek to win arguments. You seek to preserve peace. And that peace, paradoxically, intimidates those who thrive on chaos. You don't need to shout to make an impact. You just need to not flinch. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you're training your nervous system to lead instead of follow. You're teaching others, without teaching, what strength really looks like. And eventually, that strength turns magnetic. People start looking to you not for answers, but for stability. That's when calm becomes more than a shield. It becomes an anchor for others lost in the storm. But there's a deeper secret to this kind of mastery. It's the same insight that guided an emperor through war and kept his sanity intact. To find it, we must turn to Marcus Aurelius and the Stoic secret. Imagine the weight Marcus Aurelius carried each morning, emperor of the world's greatest empire, surrounded by politics, betrayal, and war. At dawn, before commanding armies or signing decrees, he would sit alone and write not about power or conquest, but about peace, about mastering himself. That image alone tells us something profound. Calm is not born from comfort. It's forged in chaos. While the world demanded reaction, Marcus turned inward, asking one simple question: is this within my control? This question became the cornerstone of Stoic wisdom, the secret that separates peace from suffering. The Stoics believed that nearly everything people worry about lies outside their control. Other people's opinions, external events, even the weather. Yet we spend most of our lives trying to bend these things to our will, arguing, overthinking, obsessing. And in doing so, we hand over our serenity piece by piece. Marcus realized the futility of that chase. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Those words are simple, but revolutionary, because once you understand what belongs to you and what doesn't, anxiety loses its grip. When the Stoic releases control, he doesn't surrender. He becomes strategic. He stops wrestling with the tide and learns how to move with it. And in a world that glorifies control, that quiet discernment becomes the ultimate form of power. Think about how much of your daily stress comes from chasing things you were never meant to control. You can't dictate how others treat you. You can't force outcomes to align with your plans. You can't stop the unexpected from showing up at your door. But what you can always control, absolutely, relentlessly, is your response. The Stoics didn't waste energy trying to reshape the world. They focused on shaping themselves. Every frustration became a test, every delay a lesson, every obstacle an opportunity to practice command over the mind. This mindset is brutally simple, but life-changing in practice. Next time something goes wrong, a deal collapses, someone disrespects you, or plans unravel, pause. Ask one question: is this within my control? If yes, act with clarity. If no, release it completely. Don't replay it. Don't dwell. Don't argue with it in your head. Because every moment spent wrestling what you can change is a moment stolen from what you can build. This isn't apathy. It's alignment. When you stop fighting reality, you stop losing twice. First to circumstance, then to your own resistance. The Stoic doesn't shrink from difficulty. He simply refuses to give it more power than it deserves. And that's what terrifies the reactive world. A person who no longer dances to its chaos. Because in a culture built on control, indifference to control is the ultimate rebellion. When you truly live by the Stoic secret, something remarkable happens. The world stops feeling like an enemy. Disappointments still come, but they no longer define you. You stop labeling every event as good or bad, and start asking, what can this teach me? That shift alone is freedom, because now, the power returns to you. You no longer chase outcomes or approval. You no longer panic when life shifts direction. You move with it, not because you're passive, but because you're precise. Marcus Aurelius didn't find peace because his empire was calm. He found peace because he was. And that's the secret we keep missing today. Calm is not a condition of the world. It's a condition of mind. When you stop trying to control everything, you start controlling the only thing that ever mattered, yourself. From that place, decisions become clearer. Words carry more weight. Your presence feels heavier. Even when you say nothing at all, people sense it. They can't quite explain it, but they feel that you are unmoved. And that, in itself, commands respect. The Stoics didn't chase dominance. They embodied sovereignty. That's what makes a calm person so unsettling. Their peace cannot be stolen. But this mastery over control and surrender leads to a deeper challenge. One that tests your emotional agility, not just your logic. Because the next battlefield isn't what happens to you. It's how you respond to the emotions of others. And that's where the art of emotional Aikido begins. In every room, there's an invisible current of emotion. You can feel it before a single word is spoken. Tension, excitement, anxiety, ego. It flows between people like electricity. Most of us get swept away by it, matching tone for tone, anger for anger, heat for heat. But the Stoic learns to redirect it. This is emotional Aikido, the art of mastering energy without aggression. Just as the martial artist uses the opponent's momentum to neutralize attack, the Stoic uses emotional awareness to transform chaos into clarity. Modern neuroscience calls it emotional contagion, the tendency for one person's emotions to spread unconsciously to others. One outburst of anger can poison an entire team. One anxious leader can infect a whole room. But calm is different. Calm is contagious in reverse. When you refuse to be pulled by someone else's emotion, you force their nervous system to recalibrate to yours. They can't sustain rage in the presence of grounded stillness. It's biology. Think of the last heated argument you saw. The louder one gets, the more the other mirrors it, until no one's listening. But imagine instead, one person slows their breathing, lowers their voice, and remains unmoved. Within seconds, the storm loses momentum. That's emotional Aikido. It's not about resisting emotion. It's about redirecting it, guiding it back to balance. Because the strongest person in the room isn't the one who controls others. It's the one who refuses to be controlled by their own reactions. Every social interaction is an exchange of energy. You can't always control what people bring into the room, but you can control what you return to them. And that makes all the difference. Science confirms what Stoics sensed centuries ago. Emotions ripple outward like sound waves. The angrier or more anxious a person becomes, the more their body language, tone, and breath pattern infect others nearby. It's called limbic resonance, a biological synchrony that can spread panic or peace, depending on who leads the rhythm. When you remain calm under pressure, your steadiness acts like gravity. It draws others into your field and forces their chaos to slow down. That's why great surgeons, firefighters, or negotiators never rush their words. They lower their voices, move slower than the situation demands, and instantly everyone else begins to mirror that control. Picture an emergency room. Machines beep, nurses scramble, our patient's heartbeat falters. Panic ripples through the staff, but the lead doctor, the one who speaks softly, breathes evenly, and gives clear instructions, reclaims the rhythm of the room. His calm doesn't just comfort, it saves lives. That is emotional Aikido in action, transforming other people's panic into order through your own self-mastery. You don't extinguish emotion, you alchemize it. You receive chaos, redirect it, and return clarity. And over time, this practice becomes second nature. Your nervous system becomes a training ground for leadership. Because the calmer you are, the more others trust your presence. The Stoic doesn't fight fire with fire. He becomes water. Mastering emotional Aikido doesn't mean you become emotionless. It means you become the conductor of emotion, both yours and everyone else's. You stop being swept away by storms, and instead learn to guide the wind. This is why emotional intelligence is not a modern discovery. It's ancient Stoicism reborn. The Stoic didn't suppress feelings. He studied them, observed them, and redirected them toward wisdom. Seneca wrote that anger is a temporary madness, cured only by awareness. Awareness is the sword that cuts through emotional fog. In daily life, this looks deceptively simple. When a friend vents frustration, you don't argue. You listen with stillness until they disarm themselves. When someone attacks you verbally, you don't defend. You pause, breathe, and reply with calm precision, or not at all. And when anxiety visits your own mind, you greet it like an old teacher, familiar, instructive, harmless. Each time you do this, you practice the Stoic art of emotional redirection. Turning heat into clarity, you become the one who lowers the temperature in any room simply by being in it. Over time, this mastery gives rise to something greater than control, presence. Your steadiness becomes magnetic. Others instinctively orient themselves round it. You no longer chase influence. Influence begins to audit you. But there's an even higher form of emotional mastery. It's not what you say, or even how you breathe. It's what you don't say. The quiet that commands more than speech. Because sometimes the most powerful move in emotional Aikido is silence itself. In a world drowning in noise, silence has become almost threatening. Every space must be filled with opinions, notifications, explanations. We mistake talking for thinking and reacting for understanding. But the Stoics knew the louder the world becomes, the more powerful silence grows. Strategic silence is not absence, it's command. It's the deliberate choice to withhold words until they matter, to let quiet do what noise cannot. When everyone else scrambles to speak, the one who stays composed controls the tempo of the room. Think of the last heated argument you witnessed. Everyone fighting to be heard, voices climbing, logic collapsing. And then, one person says nothing. They sit still, breathing evenly, eyes steady. Within moments, the others begin to falter. The silence itself becomes a mirror, forcing everyone to hear their own chaos. That's not weakness. That's precision. Abraham Lincoln practiced this art masterfully. In his war councils, after listening to bitter debate, he would often say nothing. He'd lean back, hands folded, and let the silence expand until it became unbearable. In that quiet, truth surfaced. People revealed their real motives, their fears, their ego. And when Lincoln finally spoke, every word landed like a verdict. That's strategic silence, the pause that amplifies presence, the restraint that multiplies influence. Because in the age of constant talking, the one who masters silence becomes the only voice that truly matters. Silence unsettles people because it removes their armor. Words can hide fear, but silence exposes it. When you resist the urge to fill every gap, you force others to sit in the space they've been avoiding, the space where truth lives. Psychologists call this the discomfort of cognitive reflection. When a conversation slows and the usual rhythm of response disappears, the mind panics. It rushes to fill the void with something, anything, to escape the tension. That's when people reveal what they truly think. The Stoics mastered this dynamic long before psychology existed. They knew that silence was not emptiness. It was a weapon sharpened by restraint. When you stay quiet in a heated exchange, you shift the balance of power. Others, expecting conflict, find none. Their anger has nowhere to land. They become uneasy, even introspective. Try this the next time you're cornered by confrontation. When someone finishes an emotional outburst, count slowly. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. Don't speak yet. Let the silence expand. You will watch their expression change. The silence compels them to reconsider, to soften, to fill the void they created. That moment, the pause between their words and yours, is where influence lives. Strategic silence isn't about manipulation. It's about mastery. You are not withholding words to punish. You're protecting clarity. Because when you don't speak from impulse, every word that follows carries weight. The Stoic silence doesn't end conversations. It transforms them. True silence is not the absence of noise. It's the presence of power. It's the stillness that makes others lean in, the pause that makes words meaningful again. In a time when everyone fights to be seen and heard, choosing silence is an act of rebellion. Most people fear silence because they mistake it for weakness. But in truth, silence is tension under control. It's the art of slowing time. When you stop rushing to respond, the entire world slows down with you. Imagine being in a meeting, surrounded by noise, arguments, egos, agendas. Instead of competing, you observe. You let silence settle until people start to question themselves. And then, when you finally speak, your words cut through like a blade. Precise, deliberate, unforgettable. That's what silence does. It magnifies intention. It amplifies authority. It forces the world to listen. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. The Stoics believed that every word should serve a purpose. Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue. Epictetus one, speech, they said, should be like medicine, potent in small doses, wasted in excess. Stop so the next time you feel pressure to reply, defend, or justify yourself. Don't single quotes T. Let silence speak for you. Let it remind others that calm is not surrender, it's strategy. And when the noise fades, those left standing will realize you never needed to raise your voice to command the room. You only needed to own your silence. We've walked through 7 Stoic lessons, each one a stone in the foundation of inner calm. Let's remember what they've taught us. Lesson 1. The confidence circuit. Real confidence isn't loud. It's built quietly, one act of self-command at a time. Lesson 2. The body language of authority. Your posture speaks before your mouth does. Stillness is its own language. Lesson 3. The breath weapon. Calm begins with oxygen. Master your breath, and you master your biology. Lesson 4. The nervous-making presence. When your inner world is steady, the outer world bends to it. Your calm becomes contagious. Lesson 5. The Stoic secret. Peace comes from knowing what's yours to control and letting go of everything that isn't. Lesson 6. The emotional Aikido. Emotions are not enemies. They're energy to be redirected toward clarity. Lesson 7. The strategic silence. When you stop needing to prove yourself, your silence speaks for you. Together, these lessons form a complete discipline. A way to live in a world that thrives on reaction without becoming a slave to it. To be calm doesn't mean you're detached. It means you've learned to choose your response, to pause where others panic, to breathe where others break. The Stoics didn't chase serenity. They practiced strength so deep it looked like peace, and that's what you're building now. An inner fortress that no insult, no failure, no chaos can breach. One day, people will look at you and wonder, how can he stay so calm when everything around him burns? They won't realize that calm isn't your reaction, it's your identity. So carry these 7 lessons into the noise of life. Let your calm unsettle the reckless. Let your stillness redefine strength. And let your silence, when it comes, say everything that words cannot. Because true power doesn't shout. It breathes, it observes, and then, when the moment calls, it speaks with purpose. If this video reminded you of your own power, the quiet kind that doesn't need noise to be felt, then carry that calm with you. And if you found value here, support this space by liking the video, subscribing to StoicCraft, and joining thousands who are learning to lead with stillness. Tell me in the comments, which of these 7 lessons spoke to you the most? Was it the confidence you can build, or the silence that commands? Let's grow a community of calm. One breath, one choice, one Stoic act at a time. Because the world doesn't need louder voices. It needs wiser ones.